So, health update. Let's talk about it. Really bothers me that swan is not. I don't like it when he's head on. I like it better when you can see his swoopy neck. And he's touching that one. Anyway. Okay, so if you watched last week, then you know that I had just come out of a severe state of depression and got a hold of the doctor, and they wanted to see me this week. And I'd also called and made an appointment with the eye doctor because I am a year overdue for an eye appointment, and I wanted to talk to them about specifically, and I wrote it down so I'd get it right, it's BVD, but it's binocular vision dysfunction. And I'll go into that in a second. So doctor's office, the soonest they could get me in was Wednesday, and currently my doctor's only in on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, and in the month of October, which was when I had my follow-up appointment for my original appointment, they were going to call me and reschedule that appointment anyway because she's going to be on medical leave. I have no idea what's going on with her. No idea. And sometimes things that are going on in people's personal life bleed over into their professional life. So maybe when she was being impatient with me at that first appointment or not being understanding, maybe it's something bleeding over from her personal life and her personal health. I don't know. And I know that I have said before that we cannot know what people are going through, but also when you are a professional, you have to separate that. Just like when you are a counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, you cannot let your personal life bleed into the counseling you are giving people and the care you are giving people. Just like when I was a massage therapist, we were taught in school to leave it all at the door. We were taught how much it would affect people's massages if we were not leaving it at the door, that you never tell people about your personal life. You never tell them about your personal problems. You never tell them about your health issues. Whether or not you're doing just relaxation or you're doing therapeutic massage, it's affected if your stuff is bleeding over onto people. They're not getting the relaxation and or therapy that they've come in for. Anybody in a professional capacity has to make sure that their personal life and personal health are not bleeding over into their professional life, which is why I started a second channel, just trying to keep my personal health from bleeding over into my vintage selling. So it has bled over. It absolutely has. But I was so sick that it just did. So I get it. I get that she's obviously having health issues serious enough that she's going to be off in October, probably for a planned surgery, I would think anyway. But come Wednesday morning, I get a phone call that I missed because I was eating breakfast from the doctor's office wanting to switch my appointment to a telehealth appointment, which I don't have a problem with because then that means I don't have to leave the house. I don't have to worry about if my brain's functioning enough to drive, all the way around. It's like easier for me. But then also I'm like, if this could have just been a telehealth appointment, why didn't they just make it one in the first place? You know? So then I try to call back, and I am on hold for 10 people and talk to 3 different people, none of whom actually work in that office, because my doctor is part of Ohio Health. And all of that just goes to a main switchboard, and then they will transfer you to the various doctor's office, hospital, whatever within Ohio Health. So sometimes when you're calling, you're not even talking to a person that lives in the city that you're calling from because it's Ohio Health. So you could be talking to a person that has no idea, not only that where you live, but where your doctor's office is located. So talked to 3 different people and never actually got through to the doctor's office, and was told they would get a message to the doctor's office and someone would return my phone call. And of course, someone returned my phone call, but not from the doctor's office number. And I don't know how many of you have iPhones that do this, but mine likes to shunt every phone call from numbers that I don't have saved. It thinks they're all spam and shunts them straight to voicemail. So I don't even get a notification. So I realized someone was trying to ring in. It wouldn't let me answer. It went straight to voicemail. So I immediately called back, got the same lady that I had talked to originally the first time. And I said, sorry, my phone does not recognize these numbers. I only have Dr. Tor's office number saved. All of the other numbers that everybody calls me from, it puts it straight to voicemail. And I even went in and turned off that function, and it's still sending them all to voicemail. I don't know what to do about that. It's a protective thing that Apple put on there so that you weren't getting constant spam calls. But it thinks these are spam calls. And I can't save every single number, because then when I go to call my actual doctor's office back, then I'm calling the wrong number. It's so stupid. But anyway, I said, all I need to do is let them know that the telehealth appointment is fine, but that I need them to actually be calling from Dr. Tor's office so that I can answer the phone call. So she said, okay, I will let them know that. So she let them know, and Dr. Tor's office called. I told her what was going on. I told her, I'm not currently depressed, but that was the worst depression I've ever gone through. And now I've got some anxiety too, and I don't know what to do. And so we went through the list of everything I've been on before for fibromyalgia. I have never been on antidepressants for depression before, because I have not suffered from depression until the last few years. It was brought on by perimenopause, and I think also triggered by my sister's death, the isolation of 2020. But I do think it's hormonal imbalance leading to chemical imbalance in the brain that is causing it. I can't get the hormones balanced. I can't afford the things that I need to be taking. And I'm doing as much as I can nutrition-wise. I could not eat any cleaner than I have this year. So, I don't know. Now I'm at the point where, yes, we need to try some medication. So for fibromyalgia, I have been on Cymbalta, Lyrica, which also are for depression, both of which were terrible, made me feel like I was crazy, did not reduce pain whatsoever. I have been on amitriptyline, which is an antidepressant. That was supposed to help me sleep. It did not, which then led me to being on Ambien and Lunesta because my insurance wouldn't cover the Ambien anymore. I've been on Neurontin. I've not had good responses to any medication like that I've been on. I did okay with Flexeril, and I don't know why they won't. Low dose Flexeril, I don't know why they won't continue to prescribe that. I have never been on LDN, low dose naltrexone, which is something that some people are being prescribed for fibromyalgia, and I'm kind of thinking it's because my insurance won't cover it. And as we know, I absolutely can't afford something I would have to pay for. Anyway, that's off the point. So she said, well, how about Prozac? And I'm like, okay, let's try that. So she has put me on the lowest dose. I went and picked it up yesterday, read through all the stuff, and it said that it can cause sleep disruption, so to try taking it in the morning first. So I took it today. I took my first dose. Now it is causing a little bit of a swimmy feeling. For anxiety, it can take up to 1 to 2 weeks to start working for anxiety. For depression, it can take up to 4 weeks. I'm not currently depressed. I'm not in a state of depression. So hopefully by taking it now, we can head that off at the pass and that won't happen again. That's the hope. The one thing that she did warn me about is weight gain with this, which, I'm already struggling with. So I I don't even know what to do about that. I mean, I know in the last couple of weeks I have allowed dairy back in, potatoes. My mom misses dairy and my dad misses potatoes when they're doing the very strict diet with me. So I just need to not eat that portion of what mom's making, I guess. Ugh, it's so hard when it's right in front of you. And potatoes taste so good. But I know they're a trigger. I know that I immediately gain weight from eating those two things. So I'm going to really have to be careful about my diet. I know that it stimulates appetite, which I'm worried it's going to make me more hungry like after 7, because I don't eat from after 7 p.m. until after 7 a.m. in the morning. So I'm worried I'll be sitting here from 7 until bedtime just like starving. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But no stomach upset. I took it with breakfast. No stomach upset. I checked to make sure that it wasn't going to interact with any of the vitamins and supplements I'm on, and it shouldn't. I'm not on any of the common ones that it can interact with. So that's good. So then I got a phone call. So that was on Wednesday, I did my telehealth. And then I get a phone call from the eye doctor, because I told them when I made the appointment for October, which was their first available, she's like, do you want to be put on the wait list? I'm like, that's fine. I'm mostly not working right now, so I'm pretty open. If you get a cancellation, I could probably make it. So I get a call from them Wednesday wanting to know if I can come in on Friday. Or did they call yesterday? They called yesterday, Thursday. No, yesterday was Friday. They called Thursday to see if I could come in Friday. Wow. My days are mixed up. And I said, sure. Forgot totally that when they dilate my eyes, I have more of a problem with regular people, and I should not be driving after they dilate my eyes. And I forgot because it's been 3 years since my last appointment. Totally forgot. I made it home safely. My car is parked very weird out there. But then I couldn't drive for the rest of the day. Dad had to run me around to get things shipped. But anyway, my main reason for wanting the updated appointment was because I wanted to know if they would check for and or treat binocular vision dysfunction, BVD. And so I get in there and they wanted to know what was going on. And, and I'm like, this is what's going on with this. And so when I'd gone in 2020, there were 2 issues I was having major problem. I could not see to drive at all. Could not see to drive. I could see at a normal distance, but anything further ahead. Could not read the signs any longer. And I was struggling with my focus switching back and forth between things up front and things further was giving me a massive headache, really throwing me off on the road, making me feel like I wasn't safe to drive. Also, couldn't see at night to drive. Can't see at night in the rain at all. Everything halos. I'm completely blind when it is raining at night. I will not leave the house when it is raining at night. I try not to leave the house after dark at all. Because I don't see at night anymore. And I used to be the one in the family who everybody would have drive at night. I used to have no problems driving at night. So just another thing that perimenopause changed. So he was able to do a progressive lens, and I could see while driving. It was amazing during the day. Had no issues. Still not comfortable driving at night, but the bifocals have never set, like my glasses really need to be up here for me to be able to use the bifocals when I'm reading, because otherwise they've never worked right. They've never been in the right spot. The glasses have never fit my face correctly. And this was right after everything was allowed to reopen and everybody was still wearing masks. Mask mandates were in place. And they wouldn't let you take your mask off to fit your glasses to your face. And these glasses have never fit me right. And they are the most expensive pair of glasses I've ever purchased in my life. They were more than $600, and I'm thinking they were more than $700. And I run into some problems with I have Coke bottle thick glasses. So I learned long ago that I have to get the ultralight lenses, which is always way more expensive. So I have to get the ultralight lenses or they cause such migraines I can't wear them at all. I have to get the ones without the line for the bifocal because that causes headaches, and the disruption from that line there, I just can't even function. So I have to pay the extra for the graduated lenses. This last time I paid for the darkening lenses because when I go outside, I get headaches from bright light. So I had to pay extra for that. So all of those things, and I didn't even like these frames. These were just the least offensive of the frames they had. So it wasn't like I saw these frames and I'm like, oh, I love those. Didn't even like the frames. But they told me I had to have a big, for the graduated lenses, I had to have a big, because normally I would go with something like wire rimmed with the nose pieces to set them up where they needed to be so that I can see. Nothing about these glasses has been good, except the fact that I can drive with them on. For years I did contacts, but when perimenopause hit, my astigmatism got worse, and I'd blink and the contacts would just fall out, and I got dry eyes with perimenopause and couldn't, it was just causing so much burning, so much pain to have contacts in it all. I had to not get contacts anymore. So, and I've worn glasses since first grade. I needed them before that, just nobody knew it because I was very intelligent and just filled in things where I wasn't. My eyesight has been terrible since first grade. Now it's not progressive because once I turned 18, my eyesight stopped getting worse, and it's gotten a bit worse since I turned 18, but man, through childhood, it was worse every time. It was awful. So it's pretty much leveled out. It's gotten a tiny bit worse every time. But this time my bifocals needed to be stronger after he did. So she asked me what's going on, and I tell her, I'm like, it made it better driving during the day, but I've not been able to read with these glasses on. That was no help at all. They've not set in the right. And like, they were hard sell about these glasses. They're like, because you have graduated lenses, you have to get them from us. So I was there by myself because it was COVID and you weren't allowed to bring anybody with you. And I'm not very good at saying no and being strong when I'm by myself. I get pushed into stuff. I just do. So I said also, I wanted to know if you guys identify and treat BVD. And they both looked at me, and these were two, I don't know, girls in their 20s. It looked like one was training the other and was just reviewing her stuff as she's doing it. And they both look at me like I'm insane. They've never heard that. I said, it's binocular vision dysfunction. And the most basic explanation is that when I'm looking at a thing, if I look at this eye, it's up here. And when I look at this eye, it's down here. And I said, I've had it my whole life, but it seems to have gotten worse with perimenopause, and it is causing constant headaches now. So they make a note of it in there, and they do all my other stuff. By the time they get done with just the basic test that they do, which is the one where you're looking in the machine at the hot air balloon and the I had such a raging headache just from doing that basic test. I don't know what that one is, but raging headache. So then the doctor comes in, and this is not an optometrist, it's an actual eye doctor. I went to the optometrist at Walmart up until 2020 when things were not right with my eyes and I was struggling to drive. So I've been seeing, this is my second time seeing them. And I asked him about the BVD, and he's like, oh, everybody sees it a little bit different when they only look at one eye and then look at that's normal. And I was like, okay. But I didn't, and this is what happens with me, and I think it's because I'm autistic. I didn't say, but here is the list of symptoms. And if I had gone in October, I would have had the list, but because they threw it on me last minute and I wasn't prepared. I was not prepared. So I think if I'd gone in October, knowing that I wanted to talk about this, I would have had my list of symptoms. I would have had every one of them that I experienced so that he knew what I was dealing with. But he just kind of brushed me off about it. So he did the regular exam and he said, oh, you're going to have a stronger bifocal. And I said, well, this bifocal's just never worked at all. Just been having headaches. I went through the whole thing. And he said, well, we can't give you a stronger bifocal than what I'm going to recommend because that would also give you a headache. It's not going to work. He said, because you are so nearsighted, you're always going to be able to read better closer without your glasses on. So then what's the point of the bifocal if I'm always going to take my glasses? Okay. So then he went ahead and he did test me for the BVD. And I didn't know, but this wasn't something they've never asked before. And he was doing this thing where he's like, now how far apart? And like at one point, the thing was so out of frame, I couldn't even see. He's like, do you see too? And I'm like, no. And he starts to bring it, and I'm like, oh, now you're bringing it back in frame. So he ran through that and he goes, okay, well, we're going to put Prism in your glasses. Prism is how you correct BVD. But he doesn't say, you're right, you have BVD. No, he's just like, oh, we're going to add Prism to your glasses. And then he's out of the room. And I get that doctors don't like the fact that we can go online and research our own symptoms and come in there and say, hey, I think I have this. But why not just be grateful that you have clients who are patients that are already doing research, that are already saying, look, I think this is what's going on. I've got all these symptoms. Why not? It hurts you. There is no investment. You have no personal investment in that. It's not invalidating your years of medical school. It's not. It's you saying, okay, you, the human living in your body for 50 years, probably knows better than me, the doctor that sees you once every 2 or 3 years for 10 minutes. So yeah, let me look into that for you. Thanks for doing the research, so I don't have to. I do not understand this proprietary belief that doctors have that people should not know their own bodies and should not know what's going on with their own body. I don't get it. I don't. It frustrates me to no end. But he's going to treat it. And that was all I wanted. He's going to treat it. He wrote me the prescription, and this time I wasn't even asked if I wanted to go upstairs to optical. They're just like, get your glasses. If they don't work within 30 days, you can check back with the doctor. No hard sell this time. No, which I can't afford glasses right now at all. None. I can't afford them. My insurance does not cover them. My insurance has never covered the ultralight lenses. I've always had to pay out of pocket for the ultralight lenses. So I'm glad that they didn't hard sell me, but they didn't even soft sell me. There wasn't even an option to go upstairs and have my face measured or anything. They just weren't doing it anymore. So now I've got to sell enough vintage to buy my glasses. But I wanted to go back to the symptoms of binocular vision dysfunction. Agoraphobia, which I've never had, but ADHD, which I have. Scared of highway driving. Yes, always, still scared to death of highway driving. I do it when I have to. I've been scared of it since I was 16 and got on a highway the first time. Migraines and headaches. Constant headaches. Migraines every now and then, but I'm not an often migraine sufferer. Dizziness, always. Fatigue, always. Brain fog, always. Tired eyes, always. Probably since I hit the age of 40. So probably 10 years I've had tired eyes. Double vision, jumping vision, or moving letters while reading. Yes, yes, yes. And I even told him this. I said, I used to read a novel every 2 days. I said, I've read since I was 4 years old. It has always been my escape. I said, I've not been able to read. I get headaches if I'm trying to read through the glasses. I get such headaches if I am just trying to read without them. It's not even something I'm lucky if I finish a book a month now. And this has been going on the last few years. Anxiety while driving or anxiety while grocery shopping. Yes and yes. And there was a specific reason about the grocery shopping one, and I think it was reading labels and reading like signs above something about it. I don't remember now, but clumsiness and poor depth perception. Always. Like terrible depth perception. I've never been able to play video games because my depth perception is bad. Closing one eye to focus. Yep. Fear of heights and fear of stairs. Had no idea. I have always. I was in drama club in the high school, and we had a balcony, and I hated anything that required me to go up to the balcony because of my fear of heights. We have a Renaissance theater here in Mansfield. It's kind of famous. And I have hated the few times I've gotten balcony seats. No. Feeling off balance and poor proprioception. Always. And for years, I blamed the poor proprioception on the fibromyalgia. It can be a symptom of fibromyalgia, but I also had it before I got fibromyalgia. Pressing the wrong letters while texting. Had no idea that was one. Neck pain and head tilt. Always. Motion sickness. Yep. Reading issues. Just describe those. Overstimulation. Yes. Noise sensitivity. Yes. Difficulty watching TV or movies. I have heard more movies in my life than I have watched. And this was a childhood thing. I would sit at the edge of the room and read a book while my siblings were watching a movie. I have heard more movies than I have seen. Had no idea. I thought it was just I wasn't interested in watching them. My daughter used to complain because she's like, Mom, you never watched the movie. We'd have family movie night. I'd be sitting there doing bills, listening to the movie, but not watching it. You park like a jerk. You park sideways, you park over the line. It took me, I did not get my license until I was 25 because I kept failing maneuverability. And I don't know what other states do, but here in the state of Ohio, you have to pull forward and over and then pull back through that same, and you've got cones. If you hit a cone or knock over a cone, you fail. If you bump it, you get so many points off. You bump a couple, you're failed. I failed and failed and failed and failed and failed. I repeatedly had driver's permits from the time I was 16, when I took driver's ed, to the time I was 25, when I finally passed the test. And I failed maneuverability every single time. Every single time. Now I know why. I will choose to park way out from everyone else and walk a mile to my location rather than to have to try to park between two cars. The last thing is you run into people when you walk or you run into walls. My entire life, and I can remember my friends when I was in middle school complaining about it because we all the kids in the neighborhood walked to school together. And here's everyone walking and here's me walking. So if I'm on this side, I'm like walking into my friends all the time. And it was a thing. Everybody knew Claudia was just going to walk into you as we're walking. And walk into walls constantly here. Walk into the doorways all the time. So some of the comorbidities or some of the causes of BVD. So you can develop BVD after a stroke or a brain tumor. But if you have BVD, you probably also have hypermobility. You may have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which if I do not have Ehlers-Danlos, I definitely have a connective tissue disorder. Not that I can get anybody to take me seriously about that, and not that there's any treatment for it anyway. It is helpful to know so that I'm not continuing to injure myself when I'm exercising, because that's a thing that happens. You're also likely to have ADHD and or autism. Have both. Traumatic brain injury can cause this. I think that my traumatic brain injury probably made it worse when that sign was dropped on my head. Probably made it worse. Viruses, mono, COVID, Lyme disease, they can all cause this. So, one of the ways to know that you have it is to hold your thumb out in front of your face, to close one eye and do this. And if it's jumping, if your thumb is moving significant, if it moves a little bit, that's common because your eyes are on different spots in your head. But if it's jumping around, you might have this. So the glasses are supposed to help a lot of these things, like the dizziness, the headaches, the tired eyes, the jumping vision, that kind of thing. So we'll see when I can afford them, if it helps. Hopefully it does. But that's why I know this was a long one. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. I'm still doing all of my vitamins and supplements. I am still trying to get my gallon of water in a day. I don't actually need a gallon, but in my brain, if I aim for a gallon, then I'm getting closer to what I need to be drinking. I know it's supposed to be half of your weight in ounces is what you need to drink a day, which for me isn't quite a gallon. But if I aim for that, I'm getting way more water in. Mental health, obviously, way, way, way better. That was horrible. I don't want to go through it again. And nothing worked because I was eating right. I was getting sunshine. I was getting enough water. I was taking my vitamin D, taking tons of B vitamins, because not only do I take Stress X, which has a lot of B vitamins in it, and I had upped it, remember that, but also I eat nutritional yeast on at least one meal a day, usually 2 meals, and that is B vitamins. And then I add bee pollen, which is high in B vitamins, to different things. So, sorry, I had to burp. So I don't know what else I could do. Also, I did get a message from the therapist that works through the doctor's office, and I need to make an appointment with her along with the starting the medication. So I am going to do that. I don't know how long it'll take to get into her, but she will also do telehealth, which, I'm not in love with, but I'm also not in love with the idea of having to try to drive to an appointment during winter. So I don't know. We'll see. But that one is just strictly to help me cope with anxiety and depression. It's not therapy for anything else. Like, it's a very singular goal for this therapy through my doctor's office. So that's everything. That's what's going on with my health. Pain-wise, I'm in so much pain. We had that line of storms that moved through here the last few days that just left me feeling like I'd been run over by a semi. I hurt. It's hard for me to walk because my hip just keeps giving out on me. Everything from here to the top of my leg is just on fire on my back. It hurts to lift my arms. So the pain's just awful. There's no pain relief. But not having depression makes you able to deal with the pain better, that's for sure. Oh. So, doing a smidge better. We're trying to prevent another round of the depression with the medication. We'll see how that goes. But day 1 of Prozac, and got diagnosed with binocular vision dysfunction, which I already knew I had. And also, when he said, well, most people see a little differently, that's not abnormal, it unlocked a core memory. I did, when I was a kid, complain to an optometrist. When I was a kid, I did. I'd forgotten about it until he said that. And it was that same tone and that's just normal that I got when I was a kid. And I'm just wondering if the treating it with the prism and the lenses is something new, or if that's something that has been around and I could have prevented so much of what I was going through all of this time if that prism had been put in my glasses when I was a kid. If that doctor had believed me when I said, and it isn't just a little, it is significant difference when I'm looking from one eye to the other. And then it takes a bit for my eyes to refocus. And the other thing with that is the longer I look at something, then the better it comes into focus. But then it causes eye strain that causes a headache. Frustration. All right. Thank you guys for following along. Thank you for being so supportive. Thank you for those of you that have sent me things. Thank you for those of you that send me personal messages. I appreciate every single one of you. Thanks. Mentally, I'm doing better, and it wasn't even anything that I did. My hormones rebalanced, my brain chemistry rebalanced. If I knew what I had done, I would continue to do it, but I don't think I did anything. I think it cycled through and was done, and frustration. All right, you guys. I will talk to you later. Bye.